Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for being with myself and Kayla today. She's an incredible facilitator, brilliant person. I can't wait to work with her today. We've known each other for a little while now, and she's a current student of mine in alchemy, and just even beyond that, in so many different ways. She's brilliant. You will love her. If you need any work, I would like for her to have an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what she does and to just basically tell you where you can find her, because she's brilliant. You really don't want to miss out on working with Kayla. So I'll pass it over to her for a moment.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a quantum healer. The modalities that I work within right now are QHHT, BQH, Aura, quantum astrology, Reiki, crystal sound healing. There's lots of it, but most recently I'm going to be doing Pamela's quantum alchemy. So I'm very excited about that. It has brought everything full circle for me. And I'm really excited. And you can find me at www.lavenderlighthouse.com. Thank you.
She is brilliant. You will love working with her. She is a very powerful alchemist in and of her own rights, even before learning my process. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait to, I hope she accepts my offer to share her on YouTube here soon after her work with me is done. But it won't take much longer to get her out of training as a quantum alchemist. She's amazing. So you will love working with her. I'm going to be awake today. I'm not going to go into trance. And Heylal made that very clear to me as soon as I sat down with Kayla. He's like, you're staying awake because you and Kayla need to hear what's going to happen today. So now's your time to go ahead and be placing your questions for Heylal in the Ask a Question section. And Kayla's going to be looking at it. And I'm going to let her bring those questions to him and let him answer just directly through me as I observe and stay awake in clear conduit fashion for this channeling. And I'm going to be writing as well, because I just have a feeling that there's a lot that's going to come through that he wants me to not miss. So you can start whenever you want, Kayla.
Okay. You said in the last channeling with Pamela that RH negatives are non-sentient beings. I am RH negative and I feel everything. Can you expand on this?
You must decide that you are compatible with life on this planet. You must choose life. You must choose it consciously and actively. And yes, I am telling you what to do powerfully, and you must not be threatened by this. You are not a mind. I need to write now. He's talking fast. You are not a body. The concern and the opportunity, rather, with the RH negative blood type is that your mind goes and goes. Your intellect is sharp and cutting and thrilling and powerful and beautiful. And oh, he's talking so fast that I can't keep up. My hand's going to fall off. Sorry. Automatic channeling cannot keep up with him. Your minds ramble with seemingly uncontrolled stream of consciousness, and I would like for you to actively choose this as empowerment, not disempowerment. Choose life. Choose God mind intelligence. Choose this over your mind. Choose this over the construct and the pain of feeling in the body. You do not need to feel in the body. You do not need to feel in the mind. And life does not need to be so painful. And again, your minds, RH negatives, your minds ramble with seemingly uncontrolled stream of consciousness, thought downloads, thought packages, if you will. And you are, in actuality, drawing up the blueprint for the events which will transpire and provide you with opportunities for such expansion in a blooming time of consciousness in an era that you call the age of the Aquarian. And you may feel that this would be new consciousness, but it is only new to the mind. This new blueprint that the RH negatives bring into the awareness will be powerful because it is possible now for you to harness such power of the God mind and direct it to work for you towards the ends which you consciously are choosing to achieve. And you are building new DNA in the bones, in the brain, from the guidance of breath. But remember, you must see past the construct of your emotions and body. You are engaged in so much thought activity that would be geared towards strengthening your spiritual abilities, but you underestimate the power of your higher consciousness to co-create with the mind and the body. Hold on, I need a new page. Unless you are at the stage of totality in your mastery, this is total God-mind mastery, total mastery over the urges that are primitive in hunger and identifying with sexuality or gender or judgment of thoughts being good or evil, right or wrong. Unless you're in this stage of mastery, you will unconsciously continue to program your reality with these scenarios that are needed to drive you to this crucial point of home. These times, these 3 impending days that are arising will bring you home.
I like that.
I like that too. Someone's going to ask a question about that. I feel it. We should stop there.
Okay.
Let you go on to another one, he says. Another question.
Okay.
Hand's going to fall off.
You said, so you want me to go ahead?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You said you are the energy of reflection. What is the mirror that the majority of the awakened collective is going through currently?
You are turning away from what you are not, honoring and accepting everything you see as God, everything you see as power, everything you see as safety, everything you see as love, everything you see as you. The reality that you deem as real in your experience in any given moment is, in actuality, a symbolic reflection of God. And this representation would be a thought form and the energy charged communication that you, channels, healers, teachers, activators, are pouring out into the universe for manifestation with every word, with every thought, with every emotion, with every daydream even, with every aspect of your mentalized process. This is the way that the free will with which you are empowered is implemented and permitted to manifest in your physical dream. Your thoughts reflect back to you from others. And these thoughts that then arise, which you call reactions, are tools which you create for yourself. And these are lessons upon which Your soul self wishes you to focus your energies right now. It's creative. It is beautiful. Honor these reflections. It is leading you towards acceptance, which is birthing new earth. Acceptance births new earth.
I think we're all kind of wondering, can we ask how the 3 days are going to bring us home?
You are currently shielded from such realities. For in your mind, you would fear chaos, pole shifts and changes, utter destruction, none of which are imminent fully. These are partial polar shiftings. Would there be imminent shifting of the tectonic plates of the Earth's crust? Yes. Earth is releasing these energies which no longer serve the collective of humanity. These energies are based upon anger, greed, and resentment. It is fear that you are purging. And of course, you go into a darkness that requires a stillness. The darkness brings about a stillness. You cannot return to sound without this darkness, which stills your mind. If you have fear, do not leave your homes and do not leave your mind even. This is for your own protection. Only the fearless shall venture outdoors. Only the fearless during this time. But this is not an end. This is a rebirthing. He wrote down rebirthing very big. That was the one there. That the words were huge, like this big. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Thank you. What the highest and best message you can share with us in this now about being a bridge of consciousness? Okay. What's the highest and best message you can share with us in this now about being a bridge of consciousness?
You are the ones who truly know peace. You know this because you are familiar with uncertainty and you are as familiar with change as you are with your own very breaths. Do not fret. Do not worry about how I will place you in these scenarios as sure as each new day will arise. As sure as you breathe, as sure as your chest arises with a bounty of breath that is God-given, will I place you where you are needed. And now for the rest of you. Those of you in fear, do not feel that you are out of control in your recognition that the spontaneous creations from your dreams on earth at this time are permitted to transpire. Learn from these processes. Observe carefully your thought processes that pass through your conscious awareness as they occur, not afterwards, certainly not before. Observe them as they occur. And note the time lag between the occurrence of your thoughts and your fears and their manifestations in your experiential realities. Observe yourselves. Become more aware. You know that you breathe. Sorry. this message. Please repeat. You know that you breathe. So if you were to just stop breathing, would this work? What if you placed as much attention on food as you did on breath? Could you then live? Because then the focus would not be on the breath, but the food. What if you placed as much attention on breath as you would anything else that you feel is vital, if you believe that you are a body, if you believe that you are an emotion? Certainly you have more mastery, teachers, healers, alchemists. Certainly you have more mastery than to continue to believe that you must fix things, heal things, break things apart and put them back together again. You are not in kindergarten. Breathe. Your breath comes first. How often do your thought patterns run like a faucet left on? How often, if unbridled, those thought patterns feed your awareness with such misperceptions and fearful opinions? Let them go. The breath is the focus now.
Okay. Thank you. What role do you play within the ego?
Can you play a role in something that isn't real? Or will you continue to choose that role be more apparent than your breath, more dominant than God? This thought carries a negative charge. Truly, observe the manifested result of these activities. It is not good. It has not been healthy. Please continue to consciously monitor your thoughts and your emotions, and you will before long be able to filter out the non-reality of a very counterproductive egoic activity. And these occurrences, you will catch yourself in the act of creating from ego. The role of the 3 days of darkness means that the ego is no longer prevalent in activity, which means my role is no longer necessary for you. Do you understand me now clearly?
How does your energy change with being the being of choice, and everybody's choosing a different choice now with the energy changing? What happens to your energy? Does it cause an imbalance in you, or are you ascending or changing yourself?
I am the other side of the same coin that you call the Christ. My energy has not shifted. I simply turned the coin back over to what it always was.
Good answer. Back to the 3 days of darkness. How will humanity cope with the aftermath, and how will the world change from that point on?
If there is no further role of ego, you stop separating. You stop guessing. You stop taking stabs in the dark as if finding God is playing pin the tail on the donkey. In other words, and some of you will jump for joy at this revelation, no more suffering. Isn't that grand? No more suffering. And we say that more joyfully, no more suffering.
Who would you be if you never had to take on all these roles for humanity?
The same as that which you know of as Jesus.
Okay.
Sons and daughters of God chose a dream of separation. And then I came into an existence. It is possible to spare yourself these troubles, to spare yourselves much unnecessary aggravation and irritation and toil and suffering of the thought processes and of the bodies by halting the thoughts that you have. You are curious, creative, conscientious beings. Major life lessons are occurring for you by releasing resistance of persistent accumulated memory patterns in the DNA of the collective races upon your planet. Many, after the 3 days of darkness, will continue to allow themselves to be programmed by the thought that something can be taken, something can be destroyed, this program in their consciousness. But many will also be refreshed, invigorated, renewed by a program of the higher mind, and they will be in a state of fulfillment of their life's missions, mastering, becoming more relevant. You become too easily frustrated. Channels, healers, do not become frustrated if this is not so instantaneous and in your grasp. Do not become frustrated if you are not able to instantaneously manifest love, wealth, harmony, freedom from strife, simply because you recognize the validity of the process and force yourself to think positively. That doesn't work either. Much work is done in the creative dream states. And it is during these times that these essential messages that you are channeling are documented and released into the universe for our learning. And then you remember how to manifest in both reality and unreality. And then the observer and the observed are no longer relevant. It is not a matter of observer becoming observed at this point. God doesn't see.
Okay. Thank you. Regarding discernment, how can we best discern between consciousness and the mind?
It is simple. Consciousness is God. You cannot grasp it from your minds. It is not of you. Do not attempt to discern or understand consciousness. It is an inner standing, not an understanding. It cannot be grasped with the intellect. Do not assume that you failed somehow if you're not able to discern this or to create perfection and utopia for yourself. This is not what these earth shifts are about. That is not the purpose of incarnating upon this earthly plane in these dreams. Rather, it is the objective to create for yourself the appropriate trials and challenges that cultivate real inner substance. And as you handle the hurdles that are being thrown in your direction in your creations right now, as you encounter each difficulty, as you stumble headlong into what you have called defeat and hopelessness, despair, powerlessness, you will in fact have achieved the highest objective of the soul, of the dream, and that is to create testing conditions tailor-made to your ability to handle these adversities. This is a lot. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
it would seem obvious to anyone who takes a moment to ponder this, that the world and all within it is confronting continuous problems and setbacks, and this will shift soon. It's not necessarily a failure that this is so. It is indeed the testing conditions created for your individual growth patterns of the expansion in your accumulated DNA. And unfortunately for so many, lessons were not well learned, and the physical plane descended into a spiral of darkness and negativity, compounded by negativity as a necessity for repeat experiences become continuous, and that stops soon. The times ahead represent the continuous efforts of your higher powers to intervene and to co-create with you this world of oneness as it was intended to be, which will be a spirit-filled, spirit-centered world of oneness within all of God's creations, animals, humans, elementals, the living and what you call the dead. And much purging has been necessary to achieve that state of physical creative perfection. Prepare yourself for the impending inevitability of this purging, and know that the shifting of your conscious collective thought process in each given moment to the optimum charge of the energy you project into the whole, that you contribute to this purification process, and you are well.
In your last channeling, you said that being on Earth was boring for you. What holds your attention where you are?
Your thoughts are beautiful to me.
Thank you.
The purging is grand. And the peace that comes, and the power that comes. You have been focusing your thoughts in tandem with the thoughts of such concepts of peace, unity, oneness, harmony amongst your fellow loved ones. And this certainly contributes significantly towards the outcome to be achieved. And dare I say, I am proud. These efforts serve you to diffuse the extreme measures that might otherwise be required to effectively achieve those ends. You have done this more chaotically, believe me so. Train yourself to project not just positive, but powerful, truthful thought forms towards all fellow creatures. Train yourself to project unconditional love towards all circumstances, all beings, all things. Stop worrying that the world will live up to your expectations. Accept your reality, all that which is. Strive to continue envision your world as it could be. Stop blaming others. Cease your finger pointing at others. Stop placing external blame, and stop blaming and shaming yourselves. Recognize the part you play simply by being present in the creation of the totality. And all of the things contribute in a powerful, positive way towards what we strive together collectively for. You are my children too. I love you.
Suna says she feels like she's trying to keep her head over the water rather than swimming or playing in the water. Can you guide us in shifting our awareness to what she calls conscious creativity that is joyful, techniques, etc. she's looking for?
Healers. And dear one, the beloved one who asked this question, You all operate with such compassion and loving kindness towards everyone and everything. And where are you in that? Where are you in that choice to extend such love? Is no an unloving word? Release this negativity, this guilt that you have placed upon yourself. It is unwelcome. By simply saying no, walking away for rest. Do not contribute towards the escalation of accountability. This accountability is not yours to take on, but God's. What is your business and what is God's? Trust that the perfect opportunities for love and compassion and space holding will be provided for others in all cases. Do not take it upon yourself to continue to create for others. Allow the universe the power to exercise its own perfection for them and watch the beauty of the results when you no longer enable them.
Okay. Thank you. Maria says she imagines the world turning inside out and her friends from inner earth coming to the surface and uniting us with oneness. What is the role of Adama and his collective after the 3 days of darkness?
You asked for me, and so I am. I am Adama of Telos. The moment has come for those who consider themselves to be on the spiritual path to look beyond the constraints of spiritual wisdom, to look beyond standard teachings, to look beyond yourselves, to reach beyond the barriers set down by centuries of cultural conditioning. Many have difficulty with conflict that they perceive in what is arising in these predictions. You also have difficulty within conflict that you perceive between recently encountered divine truth and the limitations posed by truths as presented in both traditional and modern spiritual teachings. This is a time to trust yourselves. And my role is just that, as a reflection and a reminder of going within, inner earth, inner heart, inner being, inner standing. It must be understood that the information presented to mankind by such divine sources and teachings currently in this age is a direct reflection of the receptivity of its audience. That state of spiritual readiness has served to determine throughout the ages the level of divine truth that a particular group of humanity was permitted to receive in a given time frame. Your spiritual development as a collective is not a static condition, and these 3 days shift when you have been too stuck. You are evolving. These 3 days cause that evolution. Strict adherence in these times to a perspective presented thousands of years ago, reflecting the state of spiritual development of that population, is to deny the spiritual progress you are making now. Strict avoidance and lack of respect of those same teachings means you deny your progress then. Where is your middle ground?
Thank you. Since we're on the 3 days of darkness, here's another one. Is it better to let friends take it as it comes, or do we have the responsibility to give our friends a heads up and maybe they're going to think we're crazy? What should we do with this information?
Do you care what they think? Do you care enough to advise even a simple message that they could perhaps comprehend? Speak at their level, and that is all.
How does the collective release sexual trauma, childhood trauma, and rage? From Elizabeth.
The evolution of this is a fact. You have already done it. You are not those same beings. You are not limited. You are not powerless. You are not the victim, nor are you the abuser. These cycles are over. When will you let them die?
Okay. What advice do you have for artists of music, visual art, and writing?
There were cultures, many cultures, countless thousands of years ago in your planet's history when humanity was essentially a spiritual being. Not that you aren't now, but you perceived it more then. Remember the mystics. Do as the mystics do. Do not forget the mystics. Back then, man had not yet corrupted his environment nor polluted his soul with karmic debris of negative fears that would spill into his theater, that would spill into his emotion, that would spill into his art. Be as wise as a serpent and as pure as a dove. And remember these times, it is your birthright to communicate directly with the higher forces of the light and to radiate divine healing energy through and from your physical form. Doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's beautiful. Show me it now. Please stop judging. The process is beautiful. It matters not. It matters not the end result. Show me your process. That is art. That is music.
Rochelle would like to know if you are aware of any creator beings that come from outside of the source creator of this universe, given how small humans think.
There is a source creator of this universe and a source creator of another universe and a source creator of another universe. How far do you wish the pen to travel upon the channel's hands? How far do we go on and on and on before we realize that all creations come from the same thing?
Okay. Thank you. Are there dreams within illusions and illusions within dreams?
Yes, of course. But they are all illusion.
Paige would like to know, how can I overcome my troubles with anxiety and fear she feels towards the voices and the beings that she hears? Moreover, how can I help myself with these PTSD reactions?
Do not restrict yourself to the mind of one that is limited. The evolution of the mind is a fact. You are not the same being. Consider if you were a body. Does the liver, the organs, do they not regenerate themselves continuously? Is the organ of the skin continuously regenerating itself? Then why not the mind? Why do you stay here? Why do you believe that fear would kill you, that death could possibly exist even? You are not the same being as you were even 2 seconds ago. As you were spiritually, when perhaps you were incarnate in the time of Yeshua or Buddha, or I as Adam. And just as it could not be considered a sacrilege to experience spiritual growth in the years and lifetimes which have transpired then, so it should be considered a reflection of that growth that you are now ready for more sophisticated information. The restrictions imposed by your mind, by your traditional religious organizations, by your conditioning,
Rochelle wanted to reword what she was asking. She wants to ask if you are aware of the presence of beings here from the outside, the source creator of this universe.
I understood what you were asking the first time, and it matters not. Of course I am aware of them, and why does it matter now? Back to anxiety and fear. Remember, dear one, you are not a limited being in your growth, yet you seek to limit God. Why? If you believe that you die, you believe that you limit God. If you are fearful, you limit God.
Why would anyone have resistance to going within and healing and releasing trauma?
Say it again. I, as the channel, lost you on that one.
Okay. Why would anyone have resistance to going within and healing and releasing their trauma?
You are afraid that this is all there is. You are afraid that it will get worse, that your suffering is even more limited, that there could possibly be something beyond the suffering that you presently experience. You spend your days waiting for a sign that something is real, waiting for breadcrumbs that your guides drop to you. And they are there. All of them are there. How many more do you need? There are classic signposts on the past of those of you destined for transformation in this time of new earth. What you are experiencing, healers, are tests of faith. They are moments of catching your breath and purging yourself of any lingering self-limiting thoughts. It is an opportunity to present the current state of being to oneself for review and reaffirmation, to ensure that one is still on track, not to repeat the suffering, but to say no again and again and again. Of course, unreality will always offer you the choice of suffering. It does not mean that you have not transcended it just because you see it again. It is an intensely personal process and must, if full benefit is to be attained, be experienced and processed within your own depths. Stop trying to not feel God. Those seeking easy answers or consoling words from external sources right now will only lengthen the time required for the completion of your profound process, for you are masters. Did you believe you came for an easy process? For the objective here, for those destined to function at the highest levels, is the total relinquishing of all ties to the form, all ties to the mind, all attachments to your thoughts and fears being real. And for many, this is a weaning process that is difficult and painful. For others, it will be as easy and as natural as breathing as soon as you are ready to let go. And within the elevated states of consciousness, there is no place for the concept of need of anyone or anything, including your fears. Do you need your fears? Of course you do not. The transcendent being is self-sufficient in all aspects and finds no lack within that could be satisfied by the addition of relationships or external situations. Please recognize the perfection of all situations in which you would find yourselves. Know without question and with gratitude that these situations are what they are for reasons that have to do within your own highest good, even those reasons which may not be consciously available in a given moment, for you do not need to know everything. Wouldn't it be free if you knew nothing?
What would you like to see in the 3D reality besides what does unity and oneness look in our community? What will you see, or what can we create? I guess, what would you like to see within us to create?
I would like for you to stand in your leadership as light workers. This is the significance of an Atlantean connection. The Atlantean mission that now unfolds before you is one in which all choose to follow the light, and they are free to participate, and this level of participation will be determined by complex criteria having as much to do with present choices as release of past actions and forgiveness of such actions. I wish for forgiveness in this dream. I wish that you would realize that one is not bound irreversibly by events and actions that have preceded this lifetime. You are not bound by Atlantis or Lemuria. You are not bound by your society's presidents or religious traditional teachings. Many factors will weigh in determining what level of participations will be possible for those of you volunteers who serve in these time. Think not that solely those who have devoted their lives up until this moment in recognized spiritual service will necessarily be the ones tapped for the most crucial leadership responsibilities in New Earth. For there are indeed those of you who have recently come into full awareness and into your potential as channels of energy and information for Gaia. And you may be more apt choices, for you perceive things freshly. Earth is continuing to grow and expand at present levels of acceleration. Awakening in the light is an individual matter. Do not compare yourselves to other beings.
Thank you. King David wants to know, how can we transmute addiction?
One learns to live on like the wind, going with the impulse of the given moment, trusting in the silence and the safety of the arms of God, growing from the lessons presented in the order in which they are presented, knowing that the situations and addictions are utterly perfect as they arise. You do not require reasons to justify your mentalized doubts, your fears, for they are not real. Why would you justify a ghost? There are no doubts. What if you could conceive of a sense of total trust in the knowingness of your higher self, that your path is your true path, and that each obstacle encountered along the way has been placed there strategically for reasons long-term and short-term, for your benefit, for your expansion, for contracts with others within their benefit of expansion. And it may simply not be apparent in the moment what is wrong with this. It is common for individuals struggling with attachment to undergo profound spiritual transformation, to experience extreme bouts of depression and anger, a profound sense of loss which may be focused or unfocused, with reason or without. And it is though you are in mourning, grasping for God. It is though someone or something had died within you. And this is perhaps the most appropriate description of what is indeed transpiring within. It is a death by dissociation of your old focus of a consciousness that defines the self as an extension of various aspects of the physical. Grieve it as such, respect it as such, honor it as such, and do not dismay, for God is with you.
Tara would like to ask, how about thoughts towards parenting? Any message that comes will be appreciated. Thank you.
Well, this is the barrier that must be dealt with now, conscious parents. Mm-hmm. And if there to be any potentiality and possibility of a future, as you would perceive it, For the times now upon us require a fortitude and a focus of intention and the allowance of these intentions to change as necessary and as often as breath. It requires a level of trust in your own abilities to perceive and source information that is continuously shifting as often as your breath. And then you provide a sense of direction to your children where there is no question, there is no doubt, there is no room for anything but God-focused clarity and decisiveness that comes of the knowing that your inner directedness as a parent is in alignment with your highest purpose. For if you are not, how can your child be?
Okay. Will that affect any contracts that you have with your child for them to learn lessons, or does that not affect it? If you choose to switch their way of thinking, does it completely switch for them as well?
You cannot switch their way of thinking without switching yours. And this need that parents have to perpetually analyze and assess their current status heralds little more than an acute awareness of one's own self-perceived lack of progress. For the growth of which I speak is not measurable in linear terms for you. It is not necessarily indicated by external evidence provided by current life circumstances or progress that you may see in the moment from your child. Your ability to observe such circumstances and to confront them and the havoc you may perceive to be of what was your life pre-parenting is more of an indication of progress in a positive direction than otherwise.
Maria feels as the time has changed and we're moving into a Renaissance era, that what energies and inspirations can we draw from that parallel timeline?
There is no easy route to the ultimate destination towards which you travel, activators. This journey is made step by step in patience, tolerance, trust, and complete surrender. Of course, you have perceived it to be painstaking, some of you. For it is you who find yourself in the moments of greatest despair. To let go of fear, to let go of doubt, to let go of shames, accountability, responsibilities that bind you to a need for the familiar, and to trust that the way will remain unclear until you are able to do so. If you are seeking the Renaissance, you are seeking the familiar. Let it go.
Okay. What happens when the karmic wheel stops? Does something happen within us? Do we feel it? And knowing that within the consciousness, some people, their wheels are still going and some people's are stopping. How do we decipher and read this as practitioners?
Someday is about to dawn. And with the shifting energies of these times comes a sense of the vaguely familiar, but you need not know it now. A feeling of somehow having been in this script before. This drives you, and so it is. Your present-day civilization is no less representative of the gross misuse of power than was Atlantis. The technological differences are significant, to be sure, but the human motivations, whose collective vibration manifested a point of no return, are not at all dissimilar. These times soon to come represent, again, the testing conditions that will determine the lessons that have been, in fact, learned at a collective level, and whether those who carry the weight of individual karmic responsibility for the decisions which brought about one's culture destruction, can apply the understandings gained to facilitate the present culture's transformation, and as such, its salvation. The temptation will be great in some to defer to technological expertise, the known, the proven, the science, the verifiable, to rectify conditions where it is obvious to anyone of God intelligence that the survival of the species is in jeopardy. A logical orientation which the present civilization has served to so firmly implant within the conscious mind is the challenge that must be overcome. For the answers now, as then, do not lie in the realm of the rational, but in the realm of God. That which cannot be tested, cannot be proven, cannot be seen, can only be sensed. It cannot be touched, except within the deepest regions of one's heart. That which will determine whom amongst these potential candidates for karmic completion will demonstrate the courage to defy what makes sense, for the possibility that the solution lies beyond the logical foundation provided by the wisdom of the times. And this is the test that you have manifested before, long before you were ready to relinquish your sense of separateness. But are you ready to relinquish it now?
Haley would like to know, how can we see the aspects of ourselves left in the dark or discover our very own rejected and suppressed aspects while healing them and integrating wholeness?
Why do you always need to know how? Why must there be a God blueprint that is handed to God? There lies a powerful opportunity for monumental growth in you. This is beyond a process. In some instances, continuing to focus on a process can be counterproductive to the overriding objective of releasing karmic testing. You are attempting to exercise discarnate presences and parts of you that you no longer love, as opposed to simply forgiving the parts of you that do not love you, the parts of you that do not allow you, the parts of you that continue to cast you out. This does not require process. This requires forgiveness. Some of you ask, why am I scribbling? I'm an automatic channel sometimes, so I have various ways of channeling. Sometimes you'll see me in trance, for those of you who are new to me. Sometimes you'll see me in clear conscious without any automatic writing, but today he had so much to say that I have to write half of it down. And I also know shorthand, so that's pretty powerful. But most of the time, my channeling looks like a bunch of chicken scratch when I'm writing. And most of the time, I'm not even writing like this. I'm writing like this. And you'll catch a word in between every now and then. But if my hand's moving, my mouth can move without a flow of interrupt from any egoic source. Like my mind can't interrupt if my hand and my mouth are moving and the being comes through. So that's why I automatically channel with automatic writing.
We have one more question? Or
Nope.
No?
He goes, nope.
Okay. Do you have any, from the same Haley, she wants to know, do you have any simple invocations or mantras that can assist us into integration of wholeness? Maybe one that you've used in one of your lifetimes would be nice.
Be one now. Command yourself into this oneness. Be one now. These are Simple 3-word answers, a 3-word mantra. Be one now. You have a role for karmic resolution in these times, light workers. Stop casting yourselves out. Be one now.
Does anybody have any more questions?
They can't. He wants me to close.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes when he has nothing more to say, he's like, that's it. That's all that I have to say. He wants all of you to also go over the answers, because there was a lot of simplicity and profundity in the answers.
Mm-hmm.
All of the answers to your questions that are lined up that we did not get to answer, they are answered within his answers that are already there. And you will see this the more you go over this work. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I need to stop recording. There we go. Because I will just let that kind of stuff go on and on and on. Forget to record, forget to hit stop, all of it. Christina, I missed your session today because of some things, and I tried to leave you a voicemail, but it's full. So I just rescheduled you and emailed instead. Sorry about that. Yeah, we had a session today, and some things came up that were crazy, and I had to reschedule, and I tried to leave a voicemail, but your phone just was full. Its voicemail was full. Sorry about that. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow for review of Kripa Yoga. We're going to review everything, especially the things that you were confused about Kripa Yoga 2, Principles of Kripa Part 2. So I will see you next week. And my goodness, this was powerful. I'm still feeling the energies of it. And so excited to see what comes up, because some of you had voted to hear from him again for next month. So it looks like that might come to pass according to the voting right now. I'll be posting that within the next couple of days. Thank you so much for your continued support on Patreon. You make this possible for me to get these messages out and to be able to support my family of 4 children simultaneously. So I am thankful for you to be able to do that. All of the work that I'm able to do is supported by you here as patrons. So thank you so, so much. And I will see you for tomorrow's class. Thank you, Kayla. You are phenomenal, as I knew you would be. I will see you guys soon.